For 6 consecutive years, Finland has topped the charts as the happiest country in the world, admired globally for its robust social safety net, high levels of trust in government, and a deep, almost spiritual connection to its pristine natural landscapes. The Finnish way of life, with its emphasis on balance, community, and simplicity, has become a model for nations seeking well-being and contentment. Universal healthcare, excellent education, and a culture of equality have long defined Finnish life. These pillars have fostered a sense of security and belonging, making Finland a place where people feel cared for from childhood through old age. But beneath this tranquil surface, new and complex challenges are quietly emerging, threatening the stability that Finns have come to cherish. Economic headwinds, a dramatic political shift to the right, and the far-reaching consequences of joining NATO are now testing Finland's famed resilience and unity in ways not seen in decades. The nation now faces rising living costs, government austerity, and growing political polarization. Everyday life is becoming more expensive, and many Finns are feeling the pinch as wages struggle to keep up with inflation. The once unshakable Finnish consensus is fracturing, revealing anxieties that have simmered for years. Debates over immigration, social spending, and national identity are becoming more heated, dividing communities that once prided themselves on harmony. The fallout from the war in Ukraine, severed economic ties with Russia, and the urgent need to bolster defense have come at a significant cost. Border towns are struggling, and the sense of security that once defined Finland is being re-examined. Meanwhile, ballooning national debt has forced the government to implement drastic policies, reshaping the Finnish social contract. Cuts to welfare and public services are sparking protests and raising questions about the future of the welfare state. The happy facade remains, but cracks are starting to show. Scenes of natural beauty now contrast with signs of hardship and neglect, as more Finns struggle to maintain their standard of living. Many Finns are beginning to wonder how long their celebrated well-being can last. The uncertainty is palpable, especially among the young and the elderly, who worry about what the future holds. The story of modern Finland is now one of dualities, happiness and anxiety, progress and uncertainty. As the country navigates these turbulent times, the world watches to see if Finland can preserve its unique spirit, or if the cracks will widen further. At the heart of Finland's troubles lies a mountain of government debt, casting a long shadow over the nation's future. For years, Finland prided itself on prudent finances and a robust welfare state, but now, the numbers are impossible to ignore. The national debt is projected to reach 90% of GDP this year, a level that alarms both domestic policymakers and international observers. The European Commission has placed Finland under formal warning for its unsustainable finances, signaling that the country's fiscal path is no longer just a local concern, but a European one. In response, the right-wing government has imposed deep spending cuts and tax hikes, one of the EU's toughest austerity budgets. These measures have sparked heated debates in parliament and protests in the streets, as citizens grapple with the reality of shrinking public support. The aim is clear: rein in the deficit and stabilize the debt. But for ordinary Finns, the pain is immediate and personal, touching nearly every aspect of daily life. The Bank of Finland warns that billions more in cuts will be needed over the next decade, suggesting that the current hardship may only be the beginning of a long, difficult road. These austerity measures are slicing into core public services and social benefits, from healthcare and education to elderly care, a dramatic departure from the generous welfare state Finns once knew and cherished. The cost of living, already up 20% since 2021, continues to climb as wages and benefits are squeezed. Everyday essentials, food, fuel, and housing, are becoming harder to afford for many families. For many, national debt is no longer an abstract concept. It's a daily struggle, visible in the stress of budgeting, the worry over bills, and the uncertainty about the future. The promise of security feels distant as families, students, and workers face a shrinking safety net. The sense of stability that once defined Finnish society is now under threat. The government's tough medicine is proving a bitter pill. raising doubts across the country about whether the cure is worse than the disease. As uncertainty grows, so too does the debate over what kind of future Finland can afford. In 2023, Finland made a historic decision to join NATO, ending more than 70 years of military non-alignment and neutrality. This move marked a profound shift in the nation's foreign policy, one that was unthinkable just a few years earlier. The catalyst was Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which sent shockwaves across Europe and forced Finland to reconsider its security priorities almost overnight. As a result, Finland's defense spending has soared to unprecedented levels, now exceeding €6 billion annually, with further increases already planned. This surge in military investment is straining an already tight national budget, forcing the government to make tough choices about where to allocate resources. Yet, the price of security is not just measured in euros spent on defense. The near-total collapse of trade with Russia, once Finland's largest trading partner outside the EU, has dealt a severe blow to the economy. The closure of the eastern border in late 2023 devastated entire regions that had long depended on Russian commerce and tourism for their livelihoods. Once busy border crossings now stand silent, and local economies have been thrown into turmoil. In places like South Karelia, the loss of Russian visitors has cost local businesses an estimated €1 million every single day. Hotels, restaurants, and shops that once thrived on cross-border traffic now face closure. Jobs have vanished, and economic stagnation has set in for border communities, leaving many residents uncertain about their future. Finland now finds itself in a difficult position, paying more for security while earning less from key export markets. The government faces mounting pressure to balance defense needs with social spending, as budget deficits widen and economic growth slows. Despite these challenges, the decision to join NATO remains widely supported by the Finnish public, who see it as a necessary step to ensure national safety in an increasingly unpredictable world. Still, the economic fallout is undeniable. The dual shock of higher defense costs and lost trade has made austerity measures even harsher, with cuts to public services and rising unemployment in affected regions. Ordinary Finns now face the high price of standing up to aggression and aligning more closely with the West. For many, this means tightening household budgets and adapting to a new economic reality. Security, it turns out, comes with hidden costs that are quietly but profoundly reshaping the nation's economy, its communities, and the daily lives of its people. Since April 2023, Finland has been governed by its most right-wing coalition in modern history. Led by Prime Minister Petteri Orpo, the government's agenda is heavily influenced by the far-right Finns Party. A central focus has been tightening immigration laws, including doubling the residency requirement for citizenship. Anti-immigrant rhetoric has increased, creating anxiety among foreign workers and risking a talent exodus. Critics warn these policies threaten Finland's reputation as an open society and could stifle economic growth. The government's shift toward austerity and restriction marks a break from the Nordic model of universalism and solidarity. Deep divisions are emerging as the nation debates whether to embrace a leaner state or preserve its welfare legacy. Austerity is hitting ordinary Finns hard, especially the most vulnerable. Cuts to housing benefits are increasing homelessness risks, while a quarter of students now struggle to afford enough food. Public healthcare is under strain, with wait times for essential services like dental care stretching to over 6 months. Rising costs of living and reduced benefits are creating new economic insecurity. Many families are forced to cut back on groceries or delay medical care. The sense of social trust and security is eroding, replaced by anxiety about the future. The daily struggle to make ends meet is becoming common, chipping away at Finland's well-being. The highest cost may be the loss of faith in a system that once promised support in times of need. The government's sweeping changes have sparked a powerful wave of opposition. The Social Democrats now lead in national polls as many Finns reconsider the country's direction. The left, energized by leaders like Li Andersson and Minja Koskela, is mobilizing against austerity and restrictive policies. The political climate is increasingly polarized, with heated debates and protests becoming common. The next elections aren't until 2027, but the battle lines are drawn. The opposition hopes public pressure will force a reversal of current policies. The coming years will test whether Finland's political will can shift the nation's course. As of February 2026, Finland stands at a crossroads facing an uncertain future. The government's high-stakes experiment with austerity and right-wing policy could stabilize finances or deepen social divisions. As a NATO member on Russia's border, Finland's stability matters to all of Europe. The debate is about more than budgets. It's about the nation's identity. Will Finland remain a model of Nordic welfare or shift toward a market-driven system? The answer will shape the lives of millions for generations. Even the happiest countries are not immune to global pressures and rapid change. Whether Finland can mend its finances without breaking its spirit will define its future and its claim to true happiness.